thanks to one slippery highway.
And San Diego teachers don't show up for their jobs. It's the teachers' strike, day 2. Good afternoon, I'm Robin Mangren.
And I'm Sandra Moss. Instead of heading to class today, striking teachers headed to a big rally at the school board this morning.
We begin our Team 8 coverage with Carol Hassan.
And once again, ladies, it was very dramatic. A couple of thousand teachers turned out again this morning, fresh from their picket lines, this time to rally at the Board of Education. Once again, a huge demonstration to demand a return to the bargaining table.
Hey, Bertha Pendleton!
Hey, Bertha Pendleton!
Your term in office is done, done, done!
Your term in office is done, done, done!
Teachers strike day 2. The teachers held their rally outside the Board of Education, marching and spilling onto Park Boulevard with their signs. The talk and the chants are getting tougher.
I don't know why the district is stonewalling and doesn't want to meet with us.
We'll resume mediation.
While the teachers are on strike, the district isn't.
We don't believe it's productive to do it while they're on strike.
The school board said it is pursuing a court injunction. At the rally, the teachers heard from a union leader for NASCO workers who said they would join their picket lines.
And we're going to give you the power you need. We hope to get what you need: respect, rights, and a voice in the government of your school.
No one here likes it, but they say they would tough it out.
It's going to be the toughest thing I've ever done, and I'm scared to death.
Of course, a kind of chill is setting in. So many had hoped that walking out would mean walking right back to the table by today. So who knows how long this will go on.
And as each day passes, I'm sure the hostility grows. Monday will be a whole different story, I imagine.
More hostile, more glum, probably.
All right. Well, day 2 of the strike saw more than just teachers out on the picket line. At Miramar Ranch Elementary, a lot of parents seemed undecided about what to do. Some considered taking their children back home again after taking a look at the substitutes. Other parents joined the picket line in support of striking teachers. And outside Hoover High School, teachers lined the street for at least half a block. And they weren't the only ones chanting. The teachers got some drive-by support. And across the street, about 100 students came out chanting in support of their teachers. Police were there as well to keep things in check. The teachers say they care about the students' safety, but they're glad that they have their students' support.
Many parents who sent their children to Bell Junior High this morning didn't realize they wouldn't stay for long. A whole throng of students left school and headed for home or a McDonald's in Paradise Hills. They told us that going to class was a waste of time.
They're not teaching us anything. All we're doing in there is sitting down listening to music.
It's boring up in there.
You're ditching class.
Teachers picketing outside Bell Junior High said that no one was keeping track of the students and that they were free to roam. Some parents in Mira Mesa had second thoughts about leaving their children with a substitute teacher in the classroom.
No extra effort. These are our teachers. Thank you very much. I want to see their fingerprints on file.
I just don't know who these guys are, which makes me real uncomfortable. I mean, you know, I care very deeply about the children in my classroom. It kills me that some people are going in there and we don't know anything about them.
I think it stinks. Because I like my teacher. She's nice, and the sub is the dork.
My kids go here. They're not going to go to school with subs who don't know what they're doing. They don't have any materials. They're watching movies. I have movies at home.
A lot of parents who allowed their children to attend class today told us that if the strike isn't resolved by Monday, they will keep their kids home. What about the bargaining table? Is anyone planning to go back to it?
Doug McAllister is live at the school board right now where the district is holding a briefing. Doug, what can you tell us?
Well, there is no new news today on a return to the bargaining table. I am live outside of the Board of Education. We're waiting for the daily assessment of the school day from day 2 of the teachers' strike. Superintendent Bertha Pendleton is due to make her assessment any minute now, and when she does, we'll go live to her inside the board. Now, yesterday, Ms. Pendleton said every one of the city's 160 schools operated on normal schedules. However, absenteeism by students was a hefty 24% compared to the normal rate of 7%. Today, 12 schools were closed for staff development, even though 76 teachers are out on strike. These are some of the things she's expected to talk about. She's not expected to announce any return to the bargaining table, though we could all be pleasantly surprised if she does. Again, Bertha Pendleton to speak live in a few minutes. When she does, we'll come back and give it to you.
All right, thank you. Doug, any idea what the weekend plans are as far as bargaining goes?
As far as I know, there are no plans to return to the bargaining table over the weekend, and you can't see him, but the president of the Teachers Association is standing next to me, and were there any plans for that, he certainly would have told me by now.
All right, thanks, Doug.
We will go back live to Doug in a little while, but first we want to give you the news of the other day. Little Sarah Morales is...
Good afternoon. I'm pleased to report to you and the community that all of our schools were fully staffed by 10 o'clock this morning, and we had excess staff available to be assigned to other classrooms. Our attendance today was 82,348 students, a bit lower than yesterday, but we did have 12 schools with 10,280 students out for scheduled Staff Development Day activities. 4,319 teachers were out today, 4,350 were out yesterday, and these numbers include those who were out for illness. I want to publicly acknowledge the non-teaching staff who worked so hard to keep our schools operating in the last 2 days. Their efforts kept the bus fleet rolling normally, allowed us to serve thousands of breakfasts and lunches. These employees were answering telephones whenever there was an open line, and there weren't many. A loyal corps of aides supervised students on the playgrounds and assisted in classrooms. And in particular, thanks are due to more than 1,500 non-striking teachers who were in the classrooms. I recognize their difficult position, and I respect and appreciate their loyalty to our children. Numerous volunteers have been at work in our schools as well, and I have received many offers of help to get back to the table and lots of advice. And thanks to all of you, I greatly appreciate your interest and concern and the interest and concern of everyone that has expressed it to us. Operating schools under strike conditions is a tough, tough challenge, but I believe that together we did an even better job today than yesterday. Nearly all of our schools were calm and well organized. It's not business as usual because so many of our regular contract teachers are not in the classroom, and we are hearing about many excellent activities, however, for students in schools throughout the district. There are many talented substitutes and volunteers at work. We are hopeful that we will soon be able to return to mediation and continue our efforts to settle this contract in a reasoned, cooperative setting. When the San Diego Teachers Association suspends its strike and the mediator is available, we will return to the table immediately. The question about suspending the strike has come up several times in my discussions today. I would like to explain why we need the teachers in their classroom before we can return to mediation. We are a very thin negotiating team. All of us are involved in negotiations at the same time that we're managing the school district and trying to keep schools open. We cannot evaluate proposals for fiscal and legal implications while we're trying to assist and support the schools, employ qualified subs, and handle the increased communication load. So we are eager to settle this. We're committed to seeing it through until we have an agreement.
Dr. Pendleton, is that the line in the sand? The teachers must stop their strike before you will go ahead and meet in mediation again?
It is difficult, as I've expressed, for us to carry out both mediation activities and to prepare to keep our schools open. And so that has to be our priority, keeping our schools open. And so if they would suspend, it allows us to give our full attention to mediation.
The Teachers Association president said all he needed was 30 minutes notice, and then he will sit down and meet with you with a mediator.
I understand that, and we would be happy to be part of mediation. But because they have not suspended the strike, our staff must spend our time this weekend preparing to keep our schools open on Monday.
Have you made a formal request to the union to suspend the strike, a direct request?
I have not made a direct request. I think I have made it very clear that that's what would be most appropriate and that's what would produce productive sessions.
Will you make a direct request to a union official to do so?
I would expect that they would request of us, and we can certainly evaluate any of those proposals should they come directly from them or a mediator.
Dr. Pendleton, you said you were very happy with what's going on in the classroom. How do you respond to people who are saying that the teachers are, the people that are in the classroom right now, are nothing more than babysitters?
I have seen and heard from the assistant superintendents and others who have been visiting our schools many fine instructional activities that are going on in the schools. To be sure, school is not the same as it would be if classroom teachers, our regular classroom teachers, were there. But I would not discount the hard work that is going on with the professionals that are there, and some excellent instruction is taking place.
Are you finding a higher absence rate in your elementary or your senior high schools?
I don't have that breakdown at this point. I don't know if Mr. Hurl has had a chance to do that analysis. It's probably the senior high schools with a higher absentee rate.
All right, if you had a message to parents about who may be reluctant to send their children to school because they're concerned about the education, concerned about their child's safety, what do you say?
We will continue to work as hard as we can to make sure that there's a sound instructional program, that there's order and there's safety, and there's no reason for them to be concerned about sending their student back to school.
Dr. Pendleton, in terms of attendance today, I heard that kids were going to school and being marked as present and then leaving immediately. Is that true?
If there are reports of those kinds of incidents, we follow up on those immediately. I have not received them.
Well, you're listening to Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Bertha Pendleton, as she's answering questions now regarding how the schools are operating during the teacher strike. We still have with us Bill Haryu, who is Executive Director of the San Diego Teachers Association. You heard Dr. Pendleton's opening statement about why they're not negotiating. What's your reaction?
They've got, I think you've heard us say this before, they spend 18% of their budget on administration. That's 4% more than the average in San Diego County. And in this district, that's about $30 million more than if they would simply go to the average. With all those administrators out there, there's no way they need their bargaining team to keep the schools open. That's a smokescreen. The other really interesting piece is that Bertha's making it sound like the schools are running normally. And yet, I have in my briefcase the injunction papers that the district has filed with the state agency, and in those papers, they're trying to make a case that the schools are in chaos. I don't see how they can have it both ways. It's real interesting.
They're in a catch-22 situation with regard to the injunction, for sure.
Right.
Okay, thanks a lot, Bill Haryu. Thank you very much, and let's hope we can get together on this
We'd like
soon.
to do that. Any notice.
On every day. This is 10 News at 5.
The picketing continues, and the turmoil surrounding the teachers' strike can be seen on the faces of those caught in the middle, the children. The San Diego teachers' strike is in its second day.
And at this hour, there is no sign of it ending. About 3/4 of the school district's teachers have walked off the job. Once again, they hit the picket lines this morning. This group is outside Brooklyn Elementary in Golden Hill. Teachers are striking for more money and other concessions after going 5 years without a pay hike. Today, the teachers and the district aren't even discussing their differences.
While teachers rally for solidarity, the school district is laying the groundwork for a court injunction. Steve Fiorina begins our team coverage live tonight from the Teachers Association headquarters in Mission Valley. Steve, what have you learned today?
Well, Carol, Stephen, most of the maneuvering so far we've seen on the sidewalks and at the school board grounds, but now the maneuvering may head into the courtroom as the district again is going to go for an injunction to try to bring the teachers back to work as the contract perhaps gets back under the bargaining table. As you know, there are no talks scheduled right now. That may occur soon, but we don't know. Bill Haryu, the executive director of the SDTA, with us now. What exactly is going on with the injunction, and what do you do in response?
Well, the district has filed the injunction papers, and we're in the process of developing our response. And quite frankly, what we're going to do is just respond with the district's own words. I have here in my hands the district's injunction papers that they filed. This is their memorandum of points and authorities, and just a couple of brief quotes. They say, in the present case, there has been a total breakdown in basic education. They say the district was able to obtain substitute teachers for only 2,545 of the 4,350 teachers who did not report for duty. Yet in the material they're sending to their own employees, their own administrators that are on the job, and in all of their comments in the public, they've been talking about how schools are running smoothly. And the teachers who chose to teach their classes resulted in a safe, orderly and productive classrooms and campuses across the district where learning took place throughout the day.
Obviously, you dispute that, and you're going to respond that...
We're going to respond with their documents. They're saying in this document that the place is in chaos. In this document, they're saying everything is going smoothly. We've also obtained some TV tapes. As you know, they've said the same thing on television. So we'll be showing some TV tapes and transcripts to the court as well.
The thing people want to hear now, though, is when's the next bargaining session going to happen?
We want to get together as soon as we can. We're willing to meet. We've told them over and over again, 30 minutes notice, we'll be there, wherever.
But they say no meeting until you go back.
That's what they say. We have talked to the mediator twice today now, and we believe that the mediator is trying to set something up, and we're waiting. And as soon as we get a notice to meet, we'll be there.
Thank you, Bill Haryu, Executive Director of the San Diego Teachers Association. How entrenched are the teachers? This morning they held a massive rally in front of the Board of Education. Thousands and thousands of striking teachers packed the grounds in front of school administration headquarters this morning. Many of them conflicted with intense emotions, angry at the impasse in negotiations, pleased at the general solidarity at this point, guilty that their students are getting shortchanged.
I was crying this morning, and I was embarrassed for my kids because I didn't want to make it emotional.
I'm angry because of the fact that the students are crying, the parents are worried.
I think all the teachers are tired of being jerked around, and it's been going on for a long, long time.
It's a principle, it's an issue that's based in what's fair and what's just.
The purpose of a rally is to show and build support. And while it's nice to stand on principle, it's costing each of these teachers an average of $220 per day to stay off the job.
Hopefully this strike will, end pretty soon.
And as close as friends might have been before the strike, this can prove very divisive.
To have them cross the picket line when I was really showing my support for them it's kind of sad.
So 2 days now without school. We've got 2 days off to kind of regroup, if you will, and then Monday, the third day of the strike, unless something is settled over the weekend. Again, nothing is set. And at home tonight, many parents saying, well, how was school today, Junior? And turns out that a great many of them ditched. Stephen, Carol?
All right, Steve Fiorina live in Mission Valley. Thanks for the report.
Just how many students did ditch today? The district says about 29% were absent. That's higher than yesterday. District officials say those absences cost them about $900,000 today in average daily attendance state aid. We want to point out that 10,000 students were out today for a scheduled staff development day, but the figures we gave you were for unexcused absences.
Just how much state money can the district afford to lose because of the absences? And is there any way to get those absent students back in class? For more answers on that particular subject, we go back live now to the Education Center, where we're joined by the attorney for the school district, Tina Dyer. First of all, that question right there, how do we get the students back into the classrooms?
We get the teachers off strike and everybody gets back to normal.
Ms. Dyer, the teachers have indicated they are willing to talk, to negotiate, to mediate, whatever the word is here. Why is it not an option to meet while they are striking?
We need to operate our schools. We've got the same negotiating team running the schools during the strike. We need to concentrate our efforts on keeping the schools operating. So we need to get the kids back, schools operating, and return to the negotiations table.
The court documents that Mr. Haryu presented a moment ago says that basically things are in chaos in the district. First of all, is that true? Second of all, we have a disturbing report that there was a teacher at Madison High School today, one of the substitute teachers that was dismissed when a very, very questionable past was brought up. What was that deal?
The teacher is no longer substituting. We want to assure parents that we are doing background checks. We are running a Department of Justice check as soon as we get the date of birth, Social Security, and name of the new employees. This individual lied, represented that he was a current employee, had previously worked in the district, and we are taking every step to see that this does not occur.
Now, what was there what the questionable past this man was involved in, and how do you know other teachers aren't involved in the same kinds of things?
Well, our current teachers, the law enforcement people are required to notify us if anyone's arrested or charged with a crime. So any current employee is immediately brought to our attention by law enforcement.
Backing up a little, Ms. Dyer, this court injunction filed against the teachers today, do you think that can get them back into the classroom?
I remember Mr. Haryu said they would abide by the law, so I assume if there's an injunction, they will honor it. I'd like to point out our papers don't use the word chaos, and it's an interesting legal theory. We have to apply to PERB, the Public Employment Relations Board, and talk about the educational breakdown of the system. The teachers may put those words back in our paperwork that we say things are running smoothly. On the other hand, they're representing that things aren't running well. So we both have this dilemma of trying to have two standards to talk with in the courts.
All right, Tina Dyer, it's certainly been a long week for you. Thank you for keeping us up to date.
Thank you very much, and we hope kids are back in school on Monday.
We all do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In the meantime, just what is going on inside the schools? Well, that depends on which school you visit.
There have been all kinds of rumors of all kinds of problems and chaos in the classrooms yesterday. But as our 10 News team coverage continues, John Beatty shows us a school where things are orderly and the kids are behaving.
It looks like antlers.
It does look like antlers.
Room 22 at Walker Elementary School. The substitute was teaching, reading actually, and the kids were reacting.
Rush to the lab.
And outdoors at recess, energetic but behaved. Principal Dr. Elaine Arm says, yes, there are problems, but
I want parents to know that their children, and especially at the elementary school, are safe, that we have been well prepared, that we are overstaffing our classrooms.
And in the classrooms, the mood is quiet and attentive. Mrs. Cheryl Siegel is the substitute in this one.
I'm substituting here because I think it's important that the kids attend school every day. I'm a credentialed teacher. I'm capable of doing a good job, and I don't want there to be any gaps in their education.
Principal Arm says in many classrooms, teachers left lesson plans, even notes for their students, and even with the tensions of a strike, is moving along. A statement echoed by parents.
The children are acting very well, and I'm actually having a very easy time of it. I have seen the teachers, and I've seen the teachers' aides, and I do believe they know what they're doing.
Things are certainly not totally normal here at Walker Elementary School, but they are not disorganized, disrupted, or chaotic either. John Beatty, 10 News, Mira Mesa.
Hi, Natalie. Hi.
This is Mark Matthews. Mrs. Silentwater hugged her students and took the notes they passed her as they headed home.
Thank you. I love you.
After greeting half a dozen of them, it was too much for the second grade teacher. She broke down.
I miss them, and they miss me, and I belong in the classroom. And I want to be there.
Silentwater said she felt so much for her kids, at first she wasn't going to honor the strike.
But then after seeing my workers here, my helpers here, I could not. I couldn't go in the classroom.
She says she feels like her kids are her family. She's not surprised that there was no discipline problems in the classroom.
They're well behaved, no matter when we go to the assemblies, they're not talking, pushing, hitting. So for someone to come in, they're already trained. I trained them. If things are going smooth, thank me.
She opened one of the notes and read it.
To Mrs. Silentwater, I miss you very much. I hope that I see you soon. Love, Katie. She did a big heart. You know, it hurts because I don't want to be here. I want to be in there. That's where the action is. That's where we touch the future. And I mean, I feel, you know, teachers we make everybody else.
It's a point of view that Mrs. Silentwater and the other teachers out here feel administrators really don't understand, and that being out here on the sidewalk with a picket sign is one way the teachers can teach the district that lesson. At Walker Elementary, Mark Matthews, 10 News.
Teachers are demanding the district return to the bargaining table, but district officials have said that won't happen until the teachers return to the classroom. So here's what we know about the strike tonight. The teachers and the district are still at an impasse after day 2 of the strike. The district says more students skipped school today. 25% of the students did not attend school yesterday. Today, that number jumped to 29%. It cost the district $700,000 yesterday, another $940,000 today. That makes a loss of more than $1.6 million so far. Of course, 10 News will be continuing to follow the strike. We'll bring you the latest developments as they occur.
We want to know where you stand on the strike, so we've set up a 10 News poll phone line for you. Which side do you support, the teachers or the school district? Call this one number, 682-1010, 682-1010. Lines are open right now. If you get a busy signal, please try again. It's a free call, and we'll have the results for you later on this evening. Teachers may be the ones on strike, but students are feeling the effects.
As we've shown you, many have stayed home from class the past 2 days. So if they're not in school, where are they? Coming up, we'll show you where the students are spending their strike days.
Tonight it is day 2 of the teachers' strike, and there is no end in sight. 3/4 of the teachers have walked off the job, and they say they're not going to return until the school district agrees to give them a pay raise and other benefits. The district says it refuses to negotiate until the teachers are back in the classrooms. Now the district has filed an injunction to try to make that happen. As we told you earlier, on this second day of the teacher strike, there were far fewer students in class today than there were even yesterday.
We sent Ed Lenderman out to find out where the students were.
They're at the mall, they're at the arcade, they're at the fast food restaurant. Believe it or not, they're at the dance camp. Where they're not is in school.
Today there's nobody in class. There's 7 people, average 7 people in all my classes so far.
Kimberly here is one of the few high school students with whom we spoke today who went back to school on the second day of the strike, after what a lot of students said was a chaotic first day of class without their regular teachers. And Kimberly only went, she says, because her mother made her. Rowdiness.
It was very uncontrollable. Yeah, my friend got knocked over by a security guard.
And boredom.
Yesterday all we did was watch cartoons the whole time.
Were just some of the reasons students gave for ditching on the second day. The schools may be losing money, but the video arcades are taking in a fortune.
But it's not just the high school students who are staying away in droves. These elementary school students are here with the blessing of their parents.
Here is a dance studio called Dance Dimensions. Owner Victoria Jacobs opened it free of charge to her dance students whose parents felt there wasn't adequate supervision at the child's school. No cafeteria food today. We talked to the kids as they headed for a restaurant.
You went yesterday. Why didn't you go today?
Because I didn't really like it.
What was wrong?
The teacher kind of yelled a lot. My mom said that all there was babysitters, and she didn't want us to go to school, so.
If the strike continues, Jacobs is expecting even more kids to put on their tap shoes next week. Ed Lenderman, 10 News, Mira Mesa.
The studio's owner says she's prepared to open every day the teachers are on the picket line.
So here's what we know about the strike tonight. As of 5:30, the teachers in the school district are still at an impasse on this day 2 of the strike, and no new negotiations are scheduled. District says 29% of the students did not attend school today. That is a 4% jump from yesterday. It cost the district $700,000 yesterday and another $940,000 today, for a total of more than $1.6 million this strike has cost so far. Once again, we want to know where you stand on the strike, so we've set up a 10 News phone poll line. We're asking which side you support, the teachers or the district. One telephone number to call, 682-1010. It is a free call. The results will be announced on 10 News Nightcast at 11.
Point, nothing has been scheduled. There are no talks with the mediator planned at this point. Now, this morning, the teachers got back together, thousands of them, for a rally. They got together again in front of the Board of Education, as they did several days ago. This time, the crowd 2 or 3 times as big, maybe as many as 5,000 of them there, with some parents and some students, all trying to show support to each other, trying to get their best face forward as they continue on to this. We've got 2 days under their belts and maybe a lot more time before they go back to work. Now, some of the teachers told us they have a lot of concerns. One in particular said she had 5 or 6 kids in her class who were very, quote, energetic, and she doesn't think the replacement teachers are handling the situation too well.
They don't know how to take that energy and focus it into learning. All they know how to is dominate and control these children. They don't know how to do it in a loving way. They haven't been trained. I am scared for my energetic 6.
Why I get angry when they put cash as the label on our strike. It has nothing to do with cash. We want to attract quality people so our district's children can benefit. That's our primary concern. It is not money.
2 very emotional teachers, some very emotional parents, all looking for the best for their children, trying to find the best way to pursue that. Back to you, Stephen, Kimberly.
All right, thanks, Steve, for the live report.
One of the parents' worst fears has become a reality tonight.
District officials have confirmed that a convicted criminal has been teaching at a local high school for the past 2 days.
Teacher is no longer substituting. We want to assure parents that we are doing background checks. We are running a Department of Justice check as soon as we get the date of birth, Social Security, and name of the new employees. This individual lied, represented that he was a current employee, had previously worked in the district.
District officials say the man was teaching at Madison High School. They refused to comment on details of the man's criminal background, but officials say there were no problems while he was actually in the classroom. School officials say most of their classrooms are under control. They allowed us to visit a classroom at Walker Elementary School in Mira Mesa today. Principal Elaine Arms said fewer kids showed up today, but classes stayed on schedule, thanks pretty much to the help of the parents and, of course, the substitute teachers.
I'm substituting here because I think it's important that the kids attend school every day. I'm a credentialed teacher. I'm capable of doing a good job, and I don't want there to be any gaps in their education.
The principal says the students' safety is her #1 priority. All this said, the attendance figures for today's classes are in.
More than 37,000 students skipped classes, resulting in more than $900,000 in losses for the district today. So where are all the missing students? Shopping at the malls seems to be one of the more popular choices. Video arcades are another favorite among the teenagers. And business is booming at local fast food restaurants. Most of the students say they went to class yesterday and didn't like it.
They treat us like prisoners, and we could do the same things we do at school, at home, and we don't learn anything.
The elementary school students spent the day not in class but practicing their tap lessons at a Mira Mesa dance studio. The owner opened the studio free of charge after hearing parents say they were pulling their children out of schools. Explaining the strike to younger students can be a tricky task. A local developmental learning expert says it's important for you to stay neutral when talking to your children.
You mustn't say your teacher is right, your teacher is right, and the school is wrong. A strike is not right. A strike means there's been a breakdown in communication. And so if a child was strong-willed enough to say, I want to do what my teacher's doing and I'm not going to work anymore unless you give me more money, then you would need to say, well, because this was not right at school, it doesn't mean it's not going to be right in our house. And what's right in our house is there's just you and me, and there's not all these people. And maybe it's because there's so many people, maybe that's why this happened. But you and I can communicate better than that.
Professor Thiele says it's important to show your children that a strike is not about winning and losing.
Some Scripps Ranch parents are choosing sides tonight. They're joining teachers on the picket lines outside Miramar Elementary School.
Good morning.
There's donuts.
I'm out here for my son. I want him to have the best high-quality education, not just a filler.
Glad to see you out here. How you doing? You came to join us today? All right.
Keep your kids home. Don't send them to substitutes.
Their teachers are qualified. Their teachers are the people we have chosen to come to school with, and they're the people we're supporting today, and that's why they will not go back to school until their teachers are back in the classroom.
Look how she spelled it.
I miss my teachers. I miss you guys too.
And I want the best education for him, so that is exactly why I'm out here.
Mama. We appreciate your support. Are you holding up?
Yeah, I got everybody. They brought me a chair. I'm comfortable. Hey, Karen and Lisa.
So here's a recap of what we know on this, the day 2 of the teacher strike.
The school district is asking for an injunction to stop the strike, but attorneys for the teachers say they'll fight it. More students skipped school today. District figures say about 29% were absent today. That's up from 25% yesterday. And school officials confirm one of the substitute teachers hired to teach during the strike has been fired after officials learned he lied about a criminal background. We want to know where you stand on the strike. To find out, we have set up a special 10 News phone poll. We're asking, which side do you support, the teachers or the school district? Call this number, 682-1010. We'll have results tonight on 10 News Nightcast.
A problem.
Picket line now for 2 days, and that means replacement teachers have been in the classrooms. And now one of the parents' worst fears has become a reality. District officials have confirmed that a convicted criminal has been teaching at a local high school.
Teacher is no longer substituting. We want to assure parents that we are doing background checks. We are running a Department of Justice check as soon as we get the date of birth, Social Security, and name of the new employees. This individual lied, represented that he was a current employee, had previously worked in the district.
District officials say the man was teaching at Madison High School. They refused to comment on the details of the man's criminal background, but officials say there were no problems while he was in the classroom. Under control, they allowed us to visit a classroom at Walker Elementary School in Mira Mesa. The principal says less kids showed up on the day 2 of the strike, but classes stayed on schedule thanks to the help of parents and substitutes.
I'm substituting here because I think it's important that the kids attend school every day. I'm a credentialed teacher. I'm capable of doing a good job, and I don't want there to be any gaps in their education.
The principal says the students' safety is her #1 priority. Student attendance has been down at all of the area schools. The district says 29% of the students were absent today. That's up 4% from yesterday. We sent out Ed Lenderman to find out where those students were.
They're at the mall, they're at the arcade, they're at the fast food restaurant. Believe it or not, they're at the dance camp. Where they're not is in school.
Today there's nobody in class. There's 7 people, average 7 people in all my classes so far.
Kimberly here is one of the few high school students with whom we spoke today who went back to school on the second day of the strike, after what a lot of students said was a chaotic first day of class without their regular teachers. And Kimberly only went, she says, because her mother made her. Rowdiness.
It was very uncontrollable. Yeah. My friend got knocked over by a security guard.
And boredom.
Yesterday all we did was watch cartoons the whole time.
Were just some of the reasons students gave for ditching on the second day. The schools may be losing money, but the video arcades are taking in a fortune.
But it's not just the high school students who are staying away in droves. These elementary school students are here with the blessing of their parents.
Here is a dance studio called Dance Dimensions. Owner Victoria Jacobs opened it free of charge to her dance students whose parents felt there wasn't adequate supervision at the child's school. No cafeteria food today. We talked to the kids as they headed for a restaurant.
You went yesterday. Why didn't you go today?
Because I didn't really like it.
What was wrong?
The teacher kind of yelled a lot. My mom said that all there was babysitters, and she didn't want us to go to school, so.
If the strike continues, Jacobs is expecting even more kids to put on their tap shoes next week. Ed Lenderman, 10 News.
To complain about substitute teachers and to rally behind their regular teachers. One student was nearly hit by a car. Another was detained by school police as they tried to keep kids off the street and out of traffic.
The kids you see behind me right now should all be in class. They're legally truant, but as you can see, the police and security guards are vastly outnumbered. Their only plan right now is to keep a bad situation from becoming worse.
2 choices, either go back to class or please go home. Those are their options.
And eventually, the students began to comply. Lunchtime at Crawford High drew a sparse crowd from campus. Several striking teachers found themselves listening to pleas from their students to come back to class.
Because what it is we want our teachers back to teach us.
Kids miss their teachers.
Substitute teacher Rebecca Marler understands what students are going through, but says striking teachers are partly to blame for disruptions in the classroom.
It'd go a whole lot smoother if the teachers weren't stirring things up as much as they are. I mean, they should be ashamed to call themselves teachers.
If they were real teachers in there, being able to do a real teaching job, this wouldn't be happening.
And before I worked for peanuts,
a lot of teachers could be singing the checkbook blues if the strike continues much longer. Some are losing as much as $260 every day they walk the picket line. But right now, they are apparently resolved to pay the price. Outside Hoover High School, Jim Scott, KUSI News.
And despite that scene and others like it, the district stuck by its business almost as usual stance today. It said it had all the classrooms covered. But 4,319 regular teachers were out today, including those out sick, about 30 fewer than yesterday. And there were 47,000 fewer students than usual in class. The district says 10,200 of those were from 12 schools closed today because of a staff development day scheduled before the strike. And there were no negotiations today. The district also sticking to its vow that there will be no talks until the teachers are back at work. School Superintendent Bertha Pendleton still isn't crossing the line in the sand she drew for teachers. Again today, she said there will be no negotiating until the teachers are back in class. One reason, her team cannot negotiate and run the schools at the same time.
It is difficult, as I've expressed, for us to carry out both mediation activities and to prepare to keep our schools open. And so that has to be our priority, keeping our schools open. And so if they would suspend, it allows us to give our full attention to mediation.
San Diego Teachers Association President Bill Crane, meanwhile, said he was outraged and dumbfounded with Pendleton's position.
I'm disappointed, and I think it's a tragedy. I think it's a tragedy that the school district, and specifically the school board, will not sit down at the negotiating table and try to end this crisis. We're ready. Give us 30 minutes notice. We're ready to sit down and work to resolve this issue.
But Crane says he is not optimistic that call will come anytime over the weekend.
Well, as we told you, day 2 of the teacher strike, and it's been more of the same today, except the numbers on the picket lines appear to be growing. KUSI's Stan Miller followed marchers as they held a show of solidarity today.
According to the best guesstimates, about 5,000 disgruntled teachers and sympathizers took to the picket lines at this rally outside the school district offices. Not all of them of the two-legged variety. The march pretty much shut down traffic in the one-block area for a couple of hours.
I certainly want to thank all of you for fighting for your rights and making sure that we get our education. And the most important thing, I want to say that we can't wait to see you back in school on Monday.
Wishful thinking for a handful of students who turned out to support their teachers.
What we're going to say to BERTHA over there on the second floor, that we're ready to sit down now. If we have a mediator, great. If we don't have a mediator, we're ready to sit down. Just give us 30 minutes notice. That's all we ask.
No response from the second floor, but plenty of response from the ground below.
We just want what BERTHA's got all to do that day.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T, that's what the board needs to give to me if they want us back at work.
Following the pickets in Hillcrest, Stan Miller, KUSI News.
Union members are planning to fan out all over the city tomorrow, handing out informational flyers. Then on Sunday, some 6,000 teachers are expected to rally at Golden Hall in downtown San Diego.
Well, you saw that absentee rate we showed you for students today, so it's clear that a lot of parents may be keeping their kids out of school. They're worried no teaching is going on in them. But as KUSI's Kevin Kelly reports, even though some students are not in formal classes, they are learning just the same.
Watching videos in near-empty classrooms with substitute teachers is not Brittany Bennett's idea of a quality education. Yet that's what the 10th grader said she experienced yesterday. So instead of going back to school today, she decided to get her education somewhere else, the workplace.
68.49 is your total? Well, my dad basically said if you're not going to go to school, you're going to go to work, so.
And that's exactly what she did.
They're vegetarians. These salads, I would recommend shredding it up really fine with a cheese grater.
Brittany's new class schedule includes getting a crash course on the history of green iguanas. She will also be learning about Jackson chameleons, damselfish, and the blue draw triggerfish, to mention just a few.
Is this an education for you?
Yeah, I learn a lot here about animals, and just dealing with people is good for me because I'm kind of a shy person anyway.
This isn't Brittany's first day on the job. She works here during the summer. But her parents say as long as the school strike continues, this will be her new classroom from 8 to 5, 5 days a week.
I'd rather have her in school. I think that's the appropriate place for her.
Brittany's father says his daughter isn't getting the educational experience the district promised during the strike. So he excused her from school and put her to work in the real world.
I'm not going to let her just roam the streets and do what she wants to do. There is a time for the discipline of going to school, and there's also a time for learning discipline of going to work. And so we've sort of combined the two.
Which is just fine with Brittany, because not only is she getting a hands-on education, she's also getting paid for it. From Point Loma, Kevin Kelly, KUSI News.
How long before Brittany and perhaps a lot of other students are back in class is still anybody's guess tonight. Again, teachers and their district have no talk scheduled over the weekend. If they do, we'll keep you posted.
Judy Sue, next on News 8 at 6:30. A pregnant woman is hospitalized after a dramatic rescue off Otay Mountain.
He was a substitute teacher for 2 days, and he's a convicted rapist. The shocking details and the latest on the teacher strike.
Story from the ongoing teacher strike in San Diego. Some Madison High School students learned today that one of their replacement teachers is an ex-convict who served time for rape.
The man apparently slipped through the cracks of the system in the district's effort to operate business as usual. News 8's Susan Schur has the story.
Word surfaced Friday at James Madison High School that an ex-con once accused of rape was conducting classes as a substitute teacher.
The individual outright lied, represented that he was a current employee, and as far as I know, it's a totally isolated incident.
According to an LA Times report, the 44-year-old man who was trained as a teacher of the disabled was convicted in 1981 of raping a woman at knife point. He was sentenced to 23 years to life and served a term at a state prison in San Luis Obispo.
I just heard that there was a criminal at our school, and my mom said, okay, well, you're not going to school today.
These Madison High cheerleaders competing at a regional competition are disgusted with the news.
I think we're the ones that are being hurt out of all this stuff because we go to class, there's like nobody in our classes. You don't know who your substitute's going to be. You don't know where they're from. It's crazy. It's all hectic.
School district officials tell us this substitute teacher did work for the district at one time. He's removed from the classroom, and the district is considering pursuing charges against him. The school district is using a state criminal justice computer system like this one, running checks on temporary employees. Credentialed district employees have already gone through a background check, including fingerprinting.
We are processing people by filling out an I-9 form, which is the immigration citizenship, and you show 2 photo IDs when you do that, social security number, date of birth.
The computer maintains records of all crimes in the state. Students say the real crime is what's happening in the classrooms.
There's been fights and broken windows, guns pulled out at our school, and it's totally out of control.
Control over what happens next is the question no one seems to be able to answer. Susan Schur, News 8, Claremont.
Ex-convicts are not allowed to become teachers in California. The school district insists this case is isolated.
As the third day of striking draws to a close, the demands of the teachers remain pretty much the same. Here's how the numbers stack up. A 15% salary increase over 3 years, with 7% added the first year and 4% the second and third. The district is offering an 11% raise over 3 years, 5% added this year, 3% the next 2 years. The difference? The district says about $24 million. So that remains the major stumbling block. Today, San Diego City teachers say they're determined to keep striking until a fair settlement has been reached. As News 8's Ed.D tells us, while teachers are hoping to gain public support, school officials are now looking to go to court.
Flyers on the teachers' point of view about the strike are being printed and sorted, plus picket signs are still being assembled. It's the second Saturday teachers have come to the San Diego Teachers Association for marching orders.
We need some flyers to pass out.
Oh, great. How would you like to walk an area that didn't get walked?
Half of the volunteers distributed flyers door to door. The other half greeted Saturday shoppers.
We'd like to share some information with you. There you go. Please call.
Now, volunteers are working 2-hour shifts to pass out leaflets at malls all across the city like this one. One of the volunteers is substituting for his wife, who's also striking but out sick today.
And even though I'm unemployed and it hurts us tremendously, I'm in full support of my wife and these teachers.
Yeah, I already called the school board. Oh, thank you so much.
Meanwhile, the school district is trying to force teachers back into the classrooms with legal action through the Public Employment Relations Board.
If PERB says they're going to seek an injunction on our behalf, they would most likely file it Monday morning in court.
I don't think their effort at an injunction stands much of a chance.
In fact, teachers believe their absence from class is going to make an even larger impact later if it hasn't already.
I think it's most probably going to start hurting in another month or two.
We've been good teachers, but it's time to take a stand.
So is this thing losing gas or is it picking up steam?
Absolutely not. Our side is very solid.
We're ready to sit down. BERTHA, 30 minutes, we'll be there.
A spokesperson for the school district says this.
We're not going to go back to the table while teachers are striking.
Yvette Dabney, News 8.
Teachers tell us the Teamsters union affiliated with NASCO has sanctioned their strike and that the union plans to pass out informational flyers about the strike and send their own people to support teachers on the picket lines.
Mayor Susan Golding says she thinks the teachers' strike has lasted long enough. Today, she urged both parties to go back to the bargaining table as soon as possible.
Well, I've talked to the superintendent and I'll be talking to board members today, and I met with the teachers union. I've offered my assistance, but it's really the Board of Education's responsibility, and I understand that.
Station. This is the KUSI News at 10 with Andrea Naverson, Jim Scott, Dave Scott with weather, and Kurt Sandoval on sports.
San Diego teachers strike. Scores of striking teachers are hitting the streets today without their picket signs. They handed out flyers in hopes of generating support from parents. Educators canvassed neighborhoods in East San Diego and other parts of the city. Union flyers accuse the school board of causing the strike and claim the quality of education at city schools has plummeted since the strike began on Thursday.
What we're trying to do mainly is to just make the neighbors, the parents aware of what's going on with the teachers. A lot of people know because of the media already, but we want to make sure that those people that haven't seen what's going on have an idea of what's happening as far as the strike.
The district has said it will not reopen negotiations until the strike is called off. Teachers say they will continue handing out flyers until the dispute is settled as well.
And those flyers aren't the only ones making the rounds tonight. Some strike tactics are getting just a bit personal. Take a look at these.
A wanted picture.
Wanted posters with the names, phone numbers, and home addresses of school board members. We got a call from a man who lives in a neighborhood where these were being passed out. He says he doesn't have kids and has no personal interest in the teachers' strike, but these flyers made him think twice.
I was really pretty indifferent and probably leaning a little more towards the sides of the teachers because I feel like, everybody needs fair compensation for their work. But when I see this kind of slamming, it's just, where you invade somebody, people's privacy with their home phone and home addresses, this is getting a little ridiculous.
We also went over to school board member Ron Ottinger's home to get his reaction to the wanted flyers. He says his feelings are mixed.
I was surprised that the union was, willing to really go to that low level, of tactic, but I'm not surprised. However, I'm not going to let it affect, what I think needs to be done for our kids.
Some teachers who live in that area didn't want to appear on camera, but tell us they support the flyer tactic. They say they don't think it's negative. The San Diego Teachers Association denies any connection with producing or distributing the wanted posters.
And beyond the propaganda and finger-pointing, there are now efforts to force an end to the strike. District officials have filed a request with the Public Education Relations Board, or rather the Public Employees Relations Board, to issue an injunction. If approved, it would force teachers back into the classroom. And as KUSI's Kevin Kelly reports tonight, that decision could come as early as tomorrow.
In its demand to end the strike, the district is arguing that the walkout by more than 4,000 teachers is causing a total breakdown in basic education. The district also argues there are not enough qualified replacement teachers or bilingual teachers, and that each day students ditch class, the district is losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. So the district is now seeking an injunction. All this just one day after District Superintendent BERTHA Pendleton informed us that things are improving.
We did an even better job today than yesterday. Nearly all of our schools were calm and well organized.
It is a mixed message, and it is a dilemma because in the court case we have to show that the educational system is broken down. And for 25,000 kids who aren't attending school, it definitely has broken down.
The teachers union didn't waste any time issuing its response to the district's request for an injunction. In a lengthy statement, the union argues the district must prove the strike is an unfair labor practice, something the union says clearly isn't the case.
I think it's just a stretch on the district's part, and honestly, they've talking out of both sides of their mouth to make their case isn't really an appropriate way to act.
A California Supreme Court could have the final say, and as previous cases have indicated, Getting injunctions isn't exactly easy. Case law shows that when an injunction is granted, the strike weapon is taken away from unions, leaving them little leverage and their employees little incentive to reach a settlement. But even so, the teachers union isn't all that concerned.
We expected it. I don't believe that the district has any grounds for this.
Teacher union members say if an injunction is issued, they will seek legal advice from the California Teachers Association. In San Diego, Kevin Kelly, KUSI News.
And district officials say if the request for an injunction is denied, they will file arguments here in San Diego directly with Superior Court.
This is the KUSI News at 10 with Andrea Naverson, Jim Scott, Dave Scott with weather, and Kurt Sandoval on sports.
Good evening, everyone. Two big stories we have been working on for you tonight. One is continuing to affect thousands of San Diego students.
The other will appall you and rip at your heart. And that's where we begin tonight. The San Diego teachers strike now in its 4th day. Earlier tonight, teachers held a big rally at Golden Hall. And we learned that secret talks over the weekend failed to end the walkout. KUSI's Romeo Cantu joins us live from our newsroom with the very latest. Romeo.
Andrea, tonight we learned that school officials tried once again to make a deal with the teachers over the weekend during a private mediation session, despite earlier reports by the school district that it wouldn't talk till the teachers put down their picket signs. Well, tonight, those picket signs were standing mighty high at the teachers' latest rally. The lyrics from this song, "We Shall Not Be Moved," seem to be the theme of the teachers' latest rally. A packed house here at the Golden Hall in downtown. Many parents, thinking a lot of the teacher hype would die down over the weekend, need to think again. So say the teachers.
A lot of teachers went home and rested from what we went through on Thursday and Friday, and they are going to go back on Monday much stronger and more committed, if anything.
Candace Finn says parents can expect the picket lines to be even longer on Monday because she says if they continue, the district is going to listen. And that seems to be working. Over the weekend, school officials once again sat down at the bargaining table with the Teachers Association for nearly 23 hours.
And I want to tell you that during all of that time, while we made some progress, it's not over yet. And you need to know that this is not an indication to let up pressure. Rather, we need to keep it strong.
I'm disappointed again that we have been unable to reach agreement. Our bargaining team has worked very, very hard. I'm extremely proud of them and their efforts.
Superintendent BERTHA Pendleton made that announcement during a news conference at the school district headquarters, where the mood here seems to be a lot less upbeat than the teachers' rally. About the only noise here comes from the ringing of phones at the district's strike hotline.
Well, first of all, they ask who I am, and then they say, oh, well, we're not mad at you, but we want to voice our opinion. So I say, okay, well, I'll listen, and then I listen to their comments, and I write them down. And that's been the majority of the calls, though. Are the schools open? Are you advising us to send our children to school? And I tell them yes.
School officials plugged in the hotline to answer questions parents may have about the strike and their children's education. Now, since last week, the school district has set up that strike hotline. That number is 293-8686. And there's also a number for parents to call in Espanol or Spanish, and that number is 686-6628. Again, the school district maintains that they have enough substitute teachers in place, and so they are urging parents to send their kids to school tomorrow. Andrea?
Romeo, on Friday, the district asked for an injunction to force the teachers back to the classroom. Any word on that?
Yeah, I asked the school district's legal counselor, Tina Dyer, that question, and she says they're waiting for a call tomorrow morning from the Public Employment Relations Board. Now, that's the state agency that oversees these types of issues for school districts. So we'll just have to wait and see till tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, Romeo Cantu, live from our newsroom. The strike is still on, but the district says schools will be open as usual tomorrow morning.
And one other bit of teacher news.
Is also a stripper, and she proves it in front of the picket lines. And a teenager admits day 5 of the teacher strike in the San Diego Unified District. And like Thursday and Friday, most teachers were on the picket lines and not in the classrooms. No contract talks are scheduled. They broke off yesterday without agreement on a pay raise for teachers. And information on progress, if any, is being withheld. The largest elementary school in the Unified District seems to be surviving the strike today. Central School in City Heights was targeted today by striking teachers from other schools. The reason, most of its teachers, 37 out of 53, are in class and not on strike.
All the children are in classrooms. All the classrooms are covered by certificated teachers or teachers who qualify for an emergency credential type, and learning is taking place.
Most of the 1,440 students at Central Elementary are in class. Only 215 were absent, which is average.
As they have every day of the strike, teachers left the picket lines for about an hour today to rally. They met again outside the Ed Center in University Heights. Teachers want to know if lesson plans are being followed in their classrooms and why the district needs so many administrators.
What school district in San Diego has more administrators or people in administrative position than any other unified school district in California? San Diego Unified.
The teachers chanted "chop from the top," meaning get rid of some administrators and pay teachers more money. And now that so many teachers are out of the classroom, concerns are being raised about who's inside.
News 8's Jody Hammond found an extreme example of one problem on tape.
Well, Robin and Sandra, last Friday the district learned that one of the substitutes had a criminal record. He had outsmarted the system meant to weed out just such cases. It's an isolated incident to be sure, but one that's left everyone troubled that it could happen. On day 5 of the strike, a picketing teacher with a home video camera got further evidence that the district's screening system is letting some people slip through the cracks.
I was a Sunday school teacher in the Salvation Army.
Kathy Opina had been working as an hourly instructional aide at Zamorano Elementary School since the strike began, but her tenure was short-lived. She was fired immediately after flashing the picket line in front of the school.
These are not qualified teachers that I would want teaching my children, and I don't think you would want teaching yours.
Even before the strike began, the San Diego Teachers Association had questioned the district's ability to hire enough qualified substitutes. Last week, the district learned to its horror that a convicted child molester had been hired to teach hearing-impaired students at Madison High School. Stephen Turner, who is himself deaf, taught for 2 days before being discovered. But it wasn't the first time Stephen Turner had worked for the district. He started the fall semester here at Lafayette Elementary School and was in the classroom for about a month before the district became aware of his criminal past. As it turns out, Turner had lied to the district, saying he was a current employee and was able to circumvent the background check.
We've alerted the principals and the people who are also processing employees to look for this type of circumstance, so we're quite sure this can't happen again.
But Tina Dyer was surprised to learn that 2 of the substitutes hired for the strike have another job here at Dream Girls as strippers.
I knew one for sure was teaching in San Diego, and the other girl brought it to my attention as the strike took hold that she would have to arrange her schedule differently because she was doing some substitute teaching else.
If that is their profession, that's not an illegal profession. We do look at moral character and people's background, and we would have to look and see about the background of these people and whether we want them in the classroom.
The manager of Dream Girls says the entertainers, as he calls them, probably make more working for him than they do in the classroom. Now, we should note that in the case of Stephen Turner, no harm came to any students either last September or last week. And Kathy Opina was not a substitute teacher or even a teacher's assistant, but an instructional aide, and a college education is not required. I spoke to the Zamorano principal who admitted Opina just slipped through. And by the way, she is not the stripper, even though she was imitating one this morning, I would say.
Yeah, I guess so. What is the district doing at this point to screen the people that are in the classroom?
The same as they would with any applicant. What happened is Stephen Turner said he was a current employee, so he did not fill out an application. Otherwise, he would have been screened. He would have gone through a Department of Justice check that would have picked up his criminal record.
All right, Jody. Thanks.
You're welcome. And standing by for that is News 8's Doug McAllister. Doug, what can you tell us?
Well, I am at the Board of Education inside. BERTHA Pendleton, school superintendent, is holding her daily briefing on how the operation of schools went this day 5 of the strike. She discusses any particular problems at schools. The number of absentees and the absentee rate has been running at 25% or higher during the strike compared to the usual 7%. Now, day 5 of the strike saw a couple of major things happen. The school district's bid for an injunction to get teachers off the picket lines was rejected. The Public Employment Relations Board turned it down. The district got itself into a pickle over the injunction. On one hand, they were saying that things were going fine at the city's 160 schools, but in order to get an injunction, they needed to prove that schools were being disrupted by the strike. And now the teachers union has filed a suit in Superior Court claiming the district is misusing the taxpayers' money by spending it on people who are unqualified to work in classrooms as teachers during the strike. And you saw Jody Hammond touch on that during her package. Now, caught in the middle of all of this certainly are students and parents, students perhaps more so than parents. I'd like to read to you from a high school student in Scripps Ranch, just 2 years in this country from Bosnia. And what he says is, school without teachers is like a desert. There is no water. Since the teachers have been on strike, the rooms are empty. There are the teacher assistants and substitute teachers, but they are not like our old teachers. Who knows how better to help us when we are sad or help us when we are in trouble. So it's a sad story as regards the students, particularly those who don't really understand what's going on. And from all appearances, this strike will continue into another day. Should Ms. Pendleton have anything earth-shaking to announce, we will bring it to you immediately, if not live. I'm Doug McAllister at the Board of Education.
All right, thank you, Doug. We have some happy news to pass on.
Teachers continue their walkout tonight, and we'll have an update for you in just a moment.
San Diego teachers strike now in its 5th day. Thousands of striking teachers gathered again today in a rally at education headquarters. News 8's Chris Saunders has the story.
The striking teachers massed at the Education Center this morning in a show of solidarity.
You can feel it. It's changed every day, too, I think. It feels stronger every day.
Chop at the top! The chant today was chop at the top. The teachers' way of finding money for their raises in a school district they feel is top-heavy with administrators.
What school district in San Diego has more administrators or people in administrative position than any other? San Diego Unified.
I'm just tired and sick of this strike. I would like to see them mediate, negotiate, settle their differences, compromise.
But a lot of teachers are anxious to get back in the classroom.
I teach 1st grade. I miss them terribly.
You do?
I do. I want to be back there right now. I'll cry if you talk about it.
It's good that we've got this many teachers that still stayed out for another day, but I think we're all anxious to get the mediation going and get back.
That's the mood of the SDTA leadership, too, but not until they get what they want.
Let's end this crisis and get back to where we all want to be, that is in the schools. Thank you.
Chris Saunders, News 8, University Heights.
Even though many teachers say they are anxious to get back to their classes, they also say they're prepared to stay out for several weeks if they have to.
And more news on day 5 of the strike. Some people are wondering who is teaching in the classrooms now. There is some evidence that the school district is letting some unqualified people in the classroom. Today, Kathy Opina was fired after exposing herself to the picket line in front of Zamorano Elementary. The district also learned that 2 other substitutes have jobs as strippers.
We've alerted the principals and the people who are also processing employees to look for this type of circumstance. So we're quite sure this can't happen again.
Last week, as we told you, the district learned it had hired a convicted child molester to teach at Madison High School. Principals at both schools say these people just slipped through the cracks. The action continues at Serra High School in Tierra Santa. As was the case last Thursday and Friday, most teachers were on the picket lines. Parents also joined them today. They say it's an effort to get teachers back in the classroom.
I want her to graduate. This is her senior year. This is the best time of her life, it's supposed to be. And if the school board can't pay the teachers adequately, what are they supposed to do? I mean, my kids can watch Blockbuster at home. They can clean their bedroom, but they're supposed to be getting an education.
No new contract talks are scheduled, and there has been no agreement on a pay raise for the teachers.
And if you talk to the union, you hear that teachers at Central Elementary School are too intimidated to walk the picket line.
Now, the principal says that's not true. He says everything is going very well. News 8's Carol Hassan here now with the story from Central.
Hal and Denise, we went to Central Elementary this morning. So did a lot of striking teachers to beef up the picket line.
Central is one of the few schools where very few teachers walked out. This is Central Elementary School on day 5 of the strike.
Get off the street, get off the street. You be a real good girl, okay?
A kiss and the teacher sends a student in. The union sent in extra pickets to boost the line because at this school only about 20 of the teachers have stayed out.
Central School is one of only 2 schools in the district that have less than 50% folks out on the line. They have a lot of probationary teachers that are that feel worried, that are feeling a little intimidated.
Not so, says Principal Mary Louise Martin.
We had the best student attendance we've had all year on Thursday and Friday. We only had 4 children that we know of so far have been out because of the strike.
She says the harassment is coming from the other side.
I feel very comfortable about the people who are here.
First 10. First word is R-E-A-D, right?
They've been on campus, they're crossing the picket line, they're taking all this harassment, they're being threatened, and then they're being trashed in the media.
And let our cameras inside to see.
There isn't good teaching going on here. There's warehousing, and we don't want that to happen.
All the classrooms are covered by certificated teachers or teachers who qualify for an emergency credential type, and learning is taking place.
Not many do say it's just like before the strike, and many wonder just what it'll be like after. The principal of the school is married to a controller in the district, so there are extra tough feelings on the picket line there.
It's getting a little tougher every day, isn't it?
Yes, it is. You can feel the heat.
Okay, thanks, Carol. School board and city council members sent a strong message to striking teachers this morning. Interfere with the education process and you could end up in jail. Councilman George Stevens and former school board president Shirley Weber held a news conference at Zamorano Elementary this morning. They say teachers and parents are being harassed by picketers. Some even have received physical threats at their homes.
I received a phone call at 5 a.m. this morning from a teacher at Zamorano School where we're here this morning, and that teacher is afraid of her life. That teacher still...
Stevens has asked Pacific Bell to help trace threatening phone calls, and San Diego police will be following up on all complaints.
Since the strike began, the school board has held daily meetings to update the status of the strike. Doug McAllister is standing by live at school board headquarters and tells us the board is going back to court. Doug?
That's right. The San Diego School District is now going to Superior Court to try and get striking teachers back into the classrooms. That was one matter discussed today at Superintendent Bertha Pendleton's afternoon news conference. The other was the matter of the substituting strippers, one now teaching at Hoover High. But first, the matter of the new injunction attempt.
One of the things we had to say to the Superior Court this afternoon in our paperwork, because we haven't had a chance to address a judge yet, is that we have been to PERB. PERB has not been able to help us, and so now we're appealing to you. The teacher at Hoover has a full credential. She has worked for the district and other districts in the past. She has had fine evaluations for her substitute work. What she does on her own time, so long as it's a lawful activity, is fine with the district.
Now, the school district this morning had its injunction request to the Public Employment Relations Board rejected. The teachers filed an objection to their appeal, claiming it, maintaining it was a legal strike. So now the district's move is to go to Superior Court and hope to get them to override the PERB ruling. By the way, attendance today was only 78,987. 48,903 students were absent. That's 37% of the student enrollment in San Diego, the highest number so far in the teacher strike. I'm Doug McAllister reporting live from the Board of Education.
All right, thank you, Doug. And now here is a recap of the latest information on day 5 of the teachers' strike. As Doug just mentioned, out of the 130,000 students in the San Diego Unified School District, more than 48,000 were absent today. That's about 1,000 more than Friday. Nearly 5,000 teachers were out of the classrooms, leaving about 1,400 teaching.
It was not unexpected. Over the weekend, the Navy commander whose squadron was involved in the fatal F-4...
That all the stakeholders have to be involved, not just the teachers union, and that the parents, the community, other employees should be involved in shared decision-making when we make decisions at school sites about children. And the school board, as the elected representatives in the community, represent parents, and they should be meeting their interests at the bargaining table. That's our duty.
Ms. Dyer, quickly, you lost in PERB today, this attempt to get an injunction. What next?
As you know from our interviews earlier in the week, we had a difficult standard because we had to show that the total educational program had broken down, and it hasn't. We are concerned about the number of kids missing school. It's a large number. In one way, it's a backhanded compliment to the district because we, by inference, are operating an educational program, or they would have sought an injunction on our behalf. We've responded by filing the request for a temporary restraining order and injunction in Superior Court, based on the concept that public employee school teachers should not have the right to strike because of that constitutional right for a free education.
All right, Ms. Dyer, we appreciate you taking the time once again. We will obviously keep in touch with you this week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So here's where we stand with the strike tonight. On this 5th day of the walkout, the district has filed an injunction in court to force teachers back to work. Teachers have responded with a countersuit for the money the district has paid subs during the walkout. The district says more students skipped school today. 37% of the students did not attend school. That cost the district more than $1 million just today in lost state aid. Of course, 10 News will continue to bring you the latest developments in this strike as they occur.
He was a squadron commander for less than a year.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. A teacher strike will enter day 6 with no end in sight. We will have more on that story later. Instead of the classroom again today. When we come back, a series of reports on what's really going on both inside and outside your child's school.
The president of
the San Diego Teacher Association and the San Diego Unified School District rages on tonight. And now a new group of players is joining in the brawl. Tonight, hundreds of San Diego parents weighed in with their views on the strike during 2 candlelight vigils. The rallies were held simultaneously, one in front of the Teachers Union office, the other in front of the Board of Education building. The parents rallying tonight call themselves Parents United for Children, and they say they'll do whatever it takes to help end the strike.
I want to support them in their efforts to be good educators, but I also want to support the district in their efforts to change the system from a top down.
A spokesperson for the parents also added that they want the fight resolved without cutting programs or putting all of the decision-making power in the hands of one single group.
And on day 5 of the strike, teachers targeted some of their substitutes with their video cameras today. They even managed to get one of them fired for her performance. KUSI's Mike Castellucci reports on teachers and parents who wonder what's going on in the classrooms.
Okay, I went around to the other side and they told me to come to this side.
She's a parent who wants some homework. Brenda Lassane walked to the Board of Education offices to get a strike curriculum. She wants to know what her 3rd grade son is learning while his regular teachers lecture the school board.
This is my child, not your child, not any other teacher's child in this district.
Lassane isn't only concerned about the classwork during the strike, she also wonders who is teaching it. This teacher's aide was hired Thursday at Zamorano Elementary. The teacher who videotaped her worried about the sub's strange behavior.
I asked her, are you on any type of medication? And she said, well, I'm on this herbal medication, and she says it's to make me skinny.
But nothing shocks Kitchen more than what she caught on her own video camera while picketing, a substitute that had plenty to say and show.
Are you on any medication?
No, sir, I take, what you call that now, herbal medication.
While Kitchen talks with the schoolroom assistant and rolls her video camera, Kathy Opina flashes her. She was fired today. And at Hoover High School, this substitute gave another teacher her business card from Dream Girls, a topless club. The sub didn't want to talk with us about it.
My name's Mike. You turn around and go back to the side.
Leaving campus, you're on private property.
That is not an illegal profession, and we certainly look at the moral and ethical behavior of our employees, and if they are morally and ethically fine people, the fact that that's their profession may not be a reason to keep them out of the classroom.
At the end of strike day 5, only one thing is certain, and that is strike day 6. Mike Castellucci, KUSI News.
And the district has lost one round. The Public Employees Relations Board today turned down the board's request for an injunction to force the teachers back to work. Now the district will have to take that fight to the Superior Court, and they say they will.
Well, there's at least one bright spot when it comes to the students, the teachers, and the strike. One City Heights school has somehow gone virtually unchanged during this crisis. KUSI's Jay Jackson reports striking teachers are not making it easy.
Since the teacher strike began last week, not much has changed inside Central Elementary School in City Heights. You'll find kids playing, eating, and learning here. In fact, the school's principal says most of their 1,440 students are in class.
It hasn't been terror on campus, and it hasn't been drastically different. It's business as usual.
Going by the numbers, the strike appears to have less of an effect on elementary school students and teachers. According to district reports compiled by KUSI, a district-wide average of 35% of elementary school students have stayed home since the strike began. But more than half of the high school and junior high school students are out. When it comes to teachers, records show on average about 22 elementary school teachers per school have walked out. But that average is 46 in the secondary schools. This represents well over 3/4 of the teachers honoring the picket line. But in Central's case, administrators credit teachers who crossed the picket lines for keeping kids in school. Officials say more than 2/3 of their teachers and staff are in classes.
I think that these people have had to deal with a lot. The people that are on campus, they've been harassed, they've been threatened at home.
Raise right respect.
But Central's high attendance rate of teachers and students served as an invitation for trouble. By dawn, hundreds of teachers from different schools crowded the sidewalks outside the school. Normally, fewer than 10 teachers would be on picket lines here, but protest leaders say it's a tactic they'll use at every school where the majority of teachers cross the picket lines.
We came to march over here because this is only one of 2 schools in the district that have less than 50% members out. And all the other teams in the cluster that have 90 or more are sending people over to support them.
Union officials say Central is indeed a rare case, and they say there is absolute unity between elementary and secondary school teachers. But district officials paint a different picture. They say from their records, it seems more and more elementary school teachers are crossing the line. From Mission Valley, Jay Jackson, KUSI News.
The district's 4 alternative schools were not included in the data that KUSI reporter Jay Jackson compiled.
Many of the teachers say they miss seeing their students in the classroom, but one striking teacher isn't missing them at all. KUSI's Romeo Cantu joins us now from the newsroom with the story of a school away from school. Romeo?
Kathy, because the teacher I'm going to tell you about is striking and can't go to the classroom, he decided to bring his class to him. That's right, a 5th grade teacher has turned his home into a school.
They're going to go down here to the West Indies, aren't they? Okay.
It's now social studies time here at this Claremont Mesa home. It's after school, and these 5th graders from Elcott Elementary are getting a lesson on early American trade from their teacher, Dale Fleet.
I'm doing this because I feel badly that the kids are not in school. I have a large contingent of parents who are very supportive of me. And so quietly look for the work week section.
Parents say they really like the way Mr. Fleet teaches their children, so they're holding their kids at home as a sign of support for him and other teachers.
We're keeping our kids at home. We really feel that right now, until the district, I want to see them really get to the table and negotiate.
Wholesaler? What does that mean?
These 24 5th graders say they'd rather be answering questions here at Mr. Fleet's house than staying at home.
I really don't like staying home. Not because it's my parents or anything like that. I just, because we're getting up to the 6th grade, and at the DARE graduation they said 90 more days till we graduate, and we really need to get back in the classroom and learn.
It's kind of boring just sitting down on the couch watching nothing, or going outside when my friends can't play, or I'd rather be at school.
Okay, and that's probably about, the best way to say that.
Mr. Fleet's classroom now resembles an old concept of teaching, the old one-room schoolhouse. And like the old days, he's having to improvise some of his teaching materials because his stuff is locked up back at school.
There is a lot of downsizing.
I'm using the newspaper as our reading book because it's something that we can all get.
Fleet says he fully stands behind the teacher's strike, but isn't going to let it keep him from doing what he loves best.
I miss being with the kids all day long. They're teaching. I enjoy teaching more now than when I started.
Now today was the first day of class for these kids at Mr. Fleet's home, and they say they'll continue to study here till the teacher strike is over. Kathy?
Thank you very much, Romeo Cantu, reporting live from the newsroom. And to recap slightly, there were about 48,000 students out today, 5,000 teachers. 21 hours of secret talks over the weekend failed to make any agreement between the teachers and their district. And now the district will go to Superior Court to try to force the teachers back into the classrooms.
Still ahead on the News at 10, remembering...
And I'm Robin Mangren. First, let's give you the latest on the strike itself.
The San Diego School District made teachers another offer today, but instead of settling things, that offer has managed to make things worse. Here's how it looks on paper. The district offered a 14.7% increase. Now, that sounds very close to the 15% teachers want, but because of the way the raise would be phased in over 3 years, teachers say it's actually far less.
News 8's Doug McAllister has been handling our live coverage. He is at the school board now with more on today's rejected offer.
Well, I am back at the Board of Education, day 6 of the teachers' strike, with day 7 apparently imminent. It doesn't appear that there's going to be anything that will prevent a day 7 unless Ms. Pendleton, the superintendent of schools, announces something dramatic at her news conference, which is set to begin any minute now. And when it does, and I'm watching the screen inside, we will give it to you live. Here's why the teachers don't like the latest offer from the school district. Although the district maintains that it's a 14.7% total package, 5% only would be retroactive to July 1st, 1995. So they get 5% immediately. They'd have to wait until May of this year to get another 2%, May 1996. So they would get 5% immediately. They've always demanded 7.2, 7.3% immediately, and the school district wouldn't pay the other 2% until May. The teachers wouldn't get another 2% on top of that until May 1st, 1997. In effect, the school district would go the bulk of the 96-97 school year without giving those the teachers the extra 2%. Finally, the 5% on top of that, making the 14.7% total package, wouldn't come until March 1st of 1998. Again, the school district goes 2/3 of the year, 1997 to 1998, before giving the teachers their raise. They want the raise phased in with 7% approximately immediately, and then they want the rest to come at the beginning of the school year, not halfway, not 2/3 of the way through it, or not most of the way through it. Again, we're standing by for BERTHA Pendleton, and we will come back when she is ready to have her afternoon news conference and go to her live. For now, I'm Doug McAllister, live at the Board of Education.
All right, and we will check back in with you at that time. Thanks a lot, Doug.
Well, the school district is 0 for 2 in trying to get striking teachers back to work through an injunction. A Superior Court judge refused to issue the court order, instead suggesting both sides should go back to the bargaining table. News 8's Jody Hammond has more.
I'm sorry to see what's going on in this community. It's a tragedy.
Judge Judith McConnell would get no argument from the table of lawyers in front of her on that score. The teachers' strike has created division and uncertainty throughout the San Diego Unified School System. Lawyers for the district had sought her help in forcing striking teachers back to the classroom.
I don't believe that this court has jurisdiction to proceed.
Instead, the judge told district lawyers that the ball is still with the Public Employment Relations Board, or PERB. Yesterday, PERB had denied the district request for an injunction, saying the schools had failed to prove the strike had caused a total breakdown in the education process.
I think their test that there has to be a total breakdown in education is wrong public policy. How far does the house have to burn down before the fire department will come?
But the PERB attorney left the door open for another try if the district can show that the situation is deteriorating as more teachers and students stay away from the classroom.
I mean, there's no set standard. It's going to depend on a totality of circumstances. But, I mean, if the situation gets worse, the district's request for an injunction becomes stronger.
The Public Employment Relations Board has no set standard for what constitutes a total educational breakdown. Disappointed district lawyers say they'll try again with PERB and consider an appeal to a higher court. Jody Hammond, News 8, downtown.
At least one person is keeping his sense of humor during the teacher's strike. He's the imposter with a lot of class. Kearney High senior Bill Schuler went to school in a suit and tie yesterday and got a job as a substitute teacher.
After school on Friday, we were talking about how this whole strike substitute thing was so stupid and anybody could get a substitute job. And we had, we had a TA that was there, and we said, well, why don't you go? You can make $100 a day. It beats what you're getting paid now. And then I was all, well, I don't know, why don't I do it?
Mr. Schuler says he never believed he'd get away with it. He says he doesn't want to be a teacher anyway because they don't make enough money. We will have another live strike update for you at the half hour or sooner if any new developments break. Robin.
In other news,
those last 2 months of the year, which is another 0.4% of an increase. The district represents it to be 2%. And finally, in the third year of the contract, they represent a 5% increase, yet it only kicks in the last 4 months of the year. So when they show you a finished salary schedule at whatever percentage they come up with, only the last 4 months of that are those 5% actually on the schedule. And
Mark,
it doesn't actually come out to 5%, it's like 1.3 or something.
Let me ask you, you're spouting a lot of statistics now, but I'm sure that there are a lot of parents sitting at home who would like to know if the teachers are still adamant about not returning to work until this contract issue is settled, or is there any way that you would go back to your classrooms and continue the negotiations?
Absolutely, there are ways we would go back, but we haven't seen any movement on the district's part. If the district had made some subsequent move in the last 4 months, we would be thrilled. I'm a 6th grade teacher. My wife is a 1st grade teacher. Both of us are out. My son is an 8th grader. He's out of school. I want to be with my students. I've had perfect attendance for the last 7 years. This is the first 4 days of school that I've missed without a meeting for the district in 7 years. And frankly, I don't like it.
All right, let us move now over to Tina Dyer, who's the attorney for the school district. Tina, I understand the difficulty for you in not wanting to debate what Mark was just saying, but let me ask you your reaction to the fact that the teachers turned down the district's latest proposal.
I'm very disappointed. The board's disappointed. We believe we've been negotiating, trying to be creative, meet their needs, meet our needs. We want to be offering something that's good for children, that's good for the community, and will keep us fiscally solvent. I think it would be wrong to do something expedient and end up in a role like LA Unified or Oakland that later on had to make tremendous cuts or even rollbacks in salary. The district offer is the same amount of money, that is, it's $104 million over the 3-year contract, and we have tried to creatively structure it in such a way that there'd be the 5% raise immediately, and by July 1 of this year, you're at 7%, and they have said they wanted 7% for this year. In addition, we have tried to address the issue of those very experienced senior teachers who top out at the salary schedule, and we wanted to address their needs. So at the end of the 3-year contract, their salary will be $58,000. And it will close the gap between the administration and the teachers, because the administrator's Me Too clause does not include longevity, and these teachers will be getting the longevity. The board feels very strongly that this is fiscally sound and we want kids back in school. We've had a 3-pronged approach to try and address the issue. The first is to keep the district operating, to have schools in session. We want children attending. It's safe. There's a program going on. It's not the same as when our regular teachers are there, but there is a program going on. Secondly, the board, the superintendent, and the negotiating team have been working very, very hard. As you know, we had a session last night from 6 till 2 in the morning. We hope to have one again tomorrow.
Let me ask you something. You mentioned the Me Too clause. I've heard some teachers say, why can't the administrators and the principals give up their portion of the Me Too clause so that there would be more money to give the teachers, and that might be one way to make a compromise? What about that?
The board feels very strongly that all our employees are valued, and so they want to treat them equitably. And the longevity is a way of getting at the issue of recognizing teachers with their experience and trying to close that gap between managers and teachers.
What about their charges that this proposal is actually just you dressing up the proposal that you gave originally, and in fact it might be even a little less?
It is not less. Our controller is very capable. He has worked this out, and it is a $104 million package. It is a different rearrangement or structure of the salary, but it is $104 million. If we go beyond this, we will be into cuts, and the cuts come hopefully away from the classroom, but you're looking at things like counselors, nurses, athletics, maintenance, administration. We have an audit that's coming up in the spring that the board will be looking at very closely, a management audit.
And one last question. You know, you've taken a lot of legal steps to get the teachers back to work. I think a lot of people out on the streets are saying, forget all the legal stuff, let's get down to the mediation and talk about this.
Well, we are mediating. We'll be mediating tomorrow. And I think the legal...
Go ahead.
Well, I just say, I think the legal stuff is another approach. I think there's a three-pronged approach. You keep school operating, you mediate and work behind the scenes as much as you can to resolve this, and you go to the courts and try and get them to help you, or the Public Employment Relations Board.
It's certainly an issue that will be in front of you and the teachers
Absolutely.
for the next several days.
By
no
the
doubt.
way, my son is in school. He misses his teachers, but he is in school and he's getting a program.
Tina Dyer, thank you for being with us today and sharing the district's viewpoint on this.
Thank you very much.
Approximately 7% of a teacher's highest 3 years average annual salary. For example, a retiring teacher making $42,850 a year could select to receive an additional $250 each month for life, or an additional $380 each month for 10 years. We can finance this package without reducing programs and services to students. To go beyond the board's current offer would require reducing programs, services, and ultimately jobs.
Now, we had hoped to have an official of the San Diego Teachers Association with us today to react to what Ms. Pendleton had to say. However, they are all tied up downtown meeting with the mayor of San Diego, who's also meeting with San Diego school board members. There will be a school board meeting here tonight devoted, I'm told, mostly to public hearings, probably to do with the ongoing strike. I'm Doug McAllister, live at the Board of Education.
So again, Doug, the teachers have rejected this latest offer.
Yes, that's out the window. They basically consider it to be bunk because the money isn't forthcoming immediately at the beginning of the school year.
All right. All right, thanks for the update, Doug, and we will have more at 5 o'clock or at...
Session.
The district makes a plea in court to force striking teachers back to class.
New details on the violent history of the teenager accused of murdering 5 family members in Vista.
I'm Susan Taylor.
And I'm Marty Levine, and this is KNSD News at 5.
Awarded the Emmy for Outstanding News Station 5 years in a row. Marty Levine, Susan Taylor, Bob Dale Weather, and Jim Laslovic Sports. KNSD News at 5.
This is a fiscally responsible package. We can implement this package without requiring any reductions in services to children.
Teachers quickly reject a new contract proposal after an all-night bargaining session.
We're concerned about shared decision-making, as the parents in this community are. They're stonewalling us on that issue. They're refusing to deal with it.
Meanwhile, the courts reject the district's request to end the strike.
I'm sorry to see what's going on in this community. It's a tragedy for this community. However, that does not give me the authority to take action as a judge.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Tonight, as we end the 6th day of the teachers' strike, the school district offered teachers more money, but the teachers say it's not enough. And they say the new offer doesn't address their other demands. Now, here's what the teachers were offered. A 5% pay raise retroactive to last July, a 2% pay raise on May 1st, another 2% raise in May of 1997, and 5% on March 1st of 1998. Here's the teachers' response. The raise is too small. The proposal favors teachers with 19 or more years of service, and the district won't give teachers more input on how schools are run. But while the strike continues, private talks between both sides are taking place. Tomorrow morning at 10, another mediation session is scheduled. Marianne Kushi is live at district headquarters now with the very latest. Hi, Marianne.
Hi, Susan. A lot going on here at district headquarters. At 7 o'clock tonight, a board meeting, and you can expect standing room only. The teachers here have already gathered for what they are planning, a 5:30 rally out here. Also this afternoon, board member President Ann Armstrong and board member Shirley Weber met with San Diego Mayor Susan Golding this afternoon. They let her know what's going on. The Teachers Association was not represented at that meeting. Mayor Susan Golding says she will not intervene. Also today, the mediator says he will continue to meet privately with both sides because, in his words, that's the only way that they can bring about effective bargaining without distraction. As teachers continue their public protest, talks continue in private to try and bring an end to the 6-day-old strike.
There was a mediation session that began at 6:30 last evening and ended at 2 in the morning.
District officials went public with the details of that session today at a noon-hour press conference to counter public opinion that board members are hiding.
And we have decided that we need to become more visible, because even though we've been working behind the scenes, there's been a perception that we're not working.
It appears that state mediator David Hart, seen here last week, is calling the shots. He did so this past weekend when private negotiations also took place.
He set up ground rules that they be private, no press, no preconceived notions, and we're working with the mediator.
But judging by today's reaction to the latest proposal, the teachers believe the district is just moving around numbers and not making a difference.
This is not closer, it's further away.
Meantime, district officials went to court today to request an injunction to force teachers back to work.
I don't think that we should wait until the house is on fire before we call someone to stop it, or that we say that we won't intervene until the house is 70% burned.
Yesterday, the Public Employees Relations Board turned them down, and today, so did a Superior Court judge.
I'm sorry to see what's going on in this community. It's a tragedy for this community. Surely you can sit down and talk and work this out. That will be the order of the court.
Well, also at this hour in Sacramento, the Public Employees Relations Board, the board that turned the district down in the first place for that initial request for an injunction, they have another request from the district to force the teachers back to work. Also today is the first time reporting this story for the last couple of days. I heard the word recall uttered. The feeling here among the teachers is not good. They feel upset and they are insulted. Reporting live from district headquarters, I'm Marianne Kushi. Back to you in the studio.
Marianne, can you clarify something for me? This latest offer was 14.7%, I believe. The teachers originally were asking somewhere around 15%. Why are the teachers saying this is not close enough?
Well, the teachers are saying that it's just a shuffling of numbers. You have to remember, and the district made this point as well, it's a $104 million package overall. It is the same amount of money that they are offering, only they have used what they have called creative financing, and they moves the percentages around. And the teachers feel that that is an insult, and they want more.
Well, hopefully there'll be some movement tomorrow morning after that session begins at 10 a.m. Marianne Kushi, thanks for joining us, for reporting to us live from district headquarters. Marty?
Well, the teachers' reaction to the latest offer was very loud. No. They say district officials have to stay after school and finish their homework. Thousands of teachers filled Golden Hall to hear about the latest offer, many wearing their strike T-shirts while others carried their signs. An elementary school teacher told our Gloria Lima she can't believe that the board is so stubborn.
That basically it was a worse offer than they've given in the past. That now they're going backwards in their offer. So.
But nothing's happening, Mark. Isn't that frustrating?
Well, it's frustrating at us, especially at the elementary level. Every morning when the children come in, those that are still attending, the tears that they're shedding, the tears that our teachers are shedding.
Many of the striking teachers told Gloria they are still encouraging students to stay home until the strike is over. They say students are not in a healthy learning environment. Well, teachers aren't the only ones reacting to today's continuation of the strike. Parents are frustrated as well, and they are starting to take action.
Angry, frustrated. I pulled her out of school today. No more. No more, because I went to school with her this morning, first period class. She has Spanish. Teacher is a substitute, knows German, doesn't know Spanish.
Well, parents also expressed dismay at the lack of education going on in the classroom. Many told stories of children watching movies all day or being taught by non-certified substitutes. As for the students, most say they support the strike, but they add they miss their teachers. One student writing a letter to her teacher during class.
It's sort of strange. You always wish your teachers would vanish from class for a while, or forever in some cases. But when it happens, all you pray for is the teachers back.
But even though Amanda Elliott, the high school junior who wrote the letter, wants her teacher back in class, she says the teacher should stay on strike until they get the raise they want.
The teacher strike affects all San Diegans, parents and students and taxpayers, as well as district employees. If the strike hasn't been settled by Thursday, KNSD will broadcast a special edition of Third Thursday on the stalemate. Teachers on strike, a town hall meeting will air live from 6:30 to 8 p.m. It will take place at Point Loma Nazarene College. That's at 3900 Loma Land Drive. The public
day of frustration for everyone involved.
I'm Sandra Moss. We're going to go right to Doug McAllister live for the very latest on the ongoing strike. Doug, what can you tell us?
Well, at this point, we know that negotiations went on all day long. They began at 10 this morning at an undisclosed location, and they lasted well into the afternoon. Now, School Superintendent Bertha Pendleton has begun her afternoon news conference. Let's now go to her live. Bertha Pendleton.
elementary teaching credential and her teaching experience with 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students. This mother of 5 wrote, "In spite of the strike, things are running very smoothly at Toll Elementary. The children are working hard and much is being expected of them." In hundreds of classrooms throughout the city, children are working hard and much is being expected of them. Our bargaining team is still in mediation at this moment. I think this is a positive sign, and I know from the volume of mail and the number of telephone calls and faxes coming into this building and to board members' homes that advocates for both sides are anxious for an agreement. And
I just want to say we have had a communication from PERB late this morning. They faxed additional questions regarding data on the operation of the schools, and we are to respond by 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. So they are still reviewing our request that they seek injunctive relief on our behalf.
Do you think this is a good sign about that you will get the injunction?
We'll have to furnish them data. It certainly means they're studying the issue quite carefully.
The woman you just heard speaking, Tina Dyer, the school district attorney, she's mentioning their 3rd attempt to go to the Public Employment Relations Board or a superior court to get an injunction to force striking teachers back into the classroom. Now, you heard word from Bertha Pendleton that negotiations were continuing even as she spoke. That is a positive sign. We know that the two sides have agreed on all but 4 of 20 issues. An agreement has been reached on health care, dental, retirement matters. It's down now to money and power. Teachers insisting that they want a 14.3% pay increase. The district saying yesterday that it made an offer of what amounted to about 14.7%, but teachers argue that in actuality it is more like 11%. So that's the up-to-the-minute situation here from the school board. We will come back live if there are any further developments. Let's go back now to the studio. I'm Doug McAllister, live at the Board of Education.
Money and power, 2 very important issues. An overflow crowd tried to jam into last night's San Diego school board meeting, and well, when everybody couldn't fit in, frustration turned into anger, as you see right here.
You are our employees. You are not the district's. You are here to represent the students.
I have 2 children actively involved in the school district. Mr. Ottinger has children, Ms. Dyer has children. We have children in San Diego Unified School District, yes.
Inside the meeting, the mood wasn't any better. In fact, it was very much the same as outside.
The teachers union, the school district, it seems at times there's no middle ground. San Diego Mayor Susan Golding has been meeting with both sides. Board President Ann Armstrong talking about the mayor's role this afternoon.
She's offering moral support. She's offering what she thinks is a more objective point of view, a step or 2 away from the intimacy of the process. She has talked to us. She has talked to the Teachers Association.
But the mayor has no legal role to play in the negotiations. She is, however, the head of our city.
And joining us now to talk about the strike and what she is doing to help bring it to an end is San Diego Mayor Susan Golding. Mayor Golding, what can you tell us right now as far as the 2 sides closing in?
Well, as long as they're still talking, and they are, then that's a good sign. I really believe they are close enough, and I said that this morning, that they should be able to resolve it today.
Now, you've been monitoring the progress on both sides. What are your biggest concerns at this point?
Is that my biggest concern is that it continues any longer. I think that's the concern of every parent and even beyond parents in this city.
Parents are concerned about the safety of their children while teachers are on the picket lines. There have been some unconfirmed reports that board members' lives have actually been threatened. Are you aware of that?
Well, there have been some incidents, nothing serious at this point in time. However, the calls to the police school task force that we supply, that the city supplies, has been about 3 to 1 over what it normally is. But because those police officers are usually in the classroom, they've been able to handle it.
Have any board members' homes been protected by police?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
What about the cost to the city, Mayor Golding? Extra security, are you taking that?
Well, it's been really not a substantial extra cost at this point in time. But of course, instead of the police officers doing the DARE program and educating the children, they're out responding to calls because of parents being afraid to cross picket lines and concerns about safety for children instead.
Last night's school board meeting, we just saw a little bit of the video. I'm sure you know what went on there last night. Frustration just seems to be building.
Well, the longer this goes on, the worse it gets. It's true in any labor negotiation, and that's why when they're this close, even though they're close, but there are major issues that need to be resolved, I think both sides with goodwill could resolve it today.
Now, you have been involved with the negotiations after. Let's put a happy face on this and say that an agreement is reached today or tomorrow. How long is it going to take for both sides to really mesh together and heal after all of this?
The longer it goes on, the longer the effect will linger. After all, we have some teachers in the schools and some teachers picketing, and that ill will can go on for some time. That isn't good for the kids, and this isn't good for the children. So both sides have an obligation to resolve this. You know, the school board is the entity charged with the responsibility of running the school district. I respect their ability to do so, but it does affect the whole community at this point, and they must bring it to a close today.
And that's why you're pushing both sides for an
I
agreement.
am.
All right, thank you very much for
You're
joining
welcome.
us, Mary Golden.
Now, recapping today's developments in the teacher strike, it is now day 7. That makes this the longest teachers' strike in city history. We have word that both sides are in secret negotiations, as you just heard. But right now, there are no offers, no new offers to tell you about. Meantime, the picketing continues.
In other local news today,
the picketing continues on this 7th day of the San Diego teachers' strike. It's been an eventful day, one that included a forecast from the mayor's office, a rally at the Starlight Bowl, and another attempt at legally quashing the strike.
And tonight at 5 o'clock, where are we? Steve Fiorina is live right now at San Diego Teachers Association headquarters to begin our team coverage tonight. Steve, what's up?
Well, Steve and Carol, you know the mayor made the prediction that the strike would be settled by 5 this afternoon. A rather optimistic prediction considering how far apart the two sides still seem to be just yesterday. However, today we may see a glimmer of hope. We'll get to that in just a moment. First, we want to show you what began starting with this morning. Teachers paced the sidewalk in front of Gompers Secondary School this morning, as did their counterparts at every other school in the San Diego Unified System. The routine was starting to settle in as they watched parents bring some children to school, knowing that many others were staying home. Inside the classrooms, sparse attendance, as is the rule these days. More instruction is taking place here than at some locations where card games and movies help pass the time. Mid-morning, about 3,000 teachers rallied at Starlight Bowl in Balboa Park. A strike needs revving like an engine, and that's what this is all about.
Well, it's getting old. I'd like to see this settled today, and I'd like to see the kids back in school. I'd like to be back on the job teaching, and I hope we can settle this as soon as possible.
It hurts me. It really hurts. It's very emotional. The kids come up to me, hug me, and they miss us, and we miss them so much. And I want them to know that we haven't abandoned them, and we love them, we miss them. We'll be back as soon as we can.
Meanwhile, the Board of Education is feeling the heat of public opinion.
But we have a commitment to the children of this community that goes far beyond our own children and far beyond just the moment, to really the life and the future of San Diego Unified School District. And it is not easy. The pressure is great. But fortunately, this board has a commitment to the children and the future of this district.
Now, of course, money is a major issue, but it's also something more than that. We want to show you a little bit about what's at the heart of some of these teachers. Earlier today, we spoke live with a kindergarten teacher who had a letter from some parents of a child in her class.
We encouraged her to go to school on Monday, but last night she went to bed at 8:30 crying for her teacher. She said, who kicked my teacher to the street? I do not like whoever did that to my teacher. I do not want to go to school. I do not like the teacher that's in there. I want to celebrate when my teacher comes back.
Obviously a very painful moment for that particular teacher, but it's also a moment tonight where we may see a little bit of progress. Bill Crane, the president of the SDTA, with us. You're feeling some heartening, or you're heartened a little bit right now.
There has been some improvement, some, I guess, coming closer together on non-monetary issues.
One of the points that has been a sticking point has been the control or the, as you say, respect of the teachers in the decision-making process. That is one of the areas that you're still talking.
Yeah, we're I think coming closer in that area. That is where parents, teachers, administrators, and others can really try to make the schools a better place for all kids.
Bill Crane, President SDTA. Now again, the Public Employment Relations Board today was supposed to have a deadline. They have extended that till tomorrow morning because they want a little bit more information.
They need declarations as to exactly how each school is doing and whether it really is totally closed down or not.
And once they get that information, they may decide to stand back or, again, go to court and seek injunctive relief, and that has not yet happened. We'll have much more, and there's other parts of this team coverage to go today.
Yes, there is. Thank you, Steve.
Yesterday, the district made the teachers an offer they quickly rejected.
So school officials responded with another request for an injunction to force teachers back to work. So the district seems to be trying to end the strike on two fronts, in mediation and in the courtroom. Joining us live now is school attorney Tina Dyer. Ms. Dyer, thank you for joining us again this evening. We just heard Bill Crane indicate that the two sides seem to be getting closer together and that he's encouraged. What do you say to that?
I'm certainly encouraged also. They've been working since 9 o'clock this morning, and everyone really wants to make a deal come together.
Okay, we're having just a touch of trouble hearing you. It's not your fault. By the way, we're having a slight audio problem. Is there any way to come off the money issue, or is that absolutely set in stone, and is it the other things then you're negotiating?
I think we're looking at both issues in terms of language and money. The board has made it consistently clear that we have put all the state income that's coming to the district for the next 3 years into the salary package. We're certainly willing to reallocate or repackage how the salaries are paid. If we go beyond that $104 million package, then we're looking at some budget cuts or adjustments elsewhere.
Okay, Ms. Dyer, unfortunately, we're going to have to cut this just a touch short. We're having a great deal of difficulty hearing you. Of course, we will be keeping folks updated on your side of the story also.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
The teachers' strike does involve money, of course, but there's much more to it than that, and the negotiations on other issues are as tough as the pay raise.
Our John Beatty shows us the major non-money issues involved in the teacher strike.
The teachers rallying in Balboa Park. Yes, they want more money, but they want more respect, as these key issues show. School assessment. Teachers want more than just blame on test score problems.
Teachers and the school district being in a partnership to try to problem solve how we can make sure that kids learn better at the school site.
The board says all are responsible.
And the board feels very responsible as trying to take actions to correct low test scores. The board's been elected by the community, is answerable to the community, and wants teachers involved.
There is the issue of due process. A teacher can be given 45 days notice after a complaint. The union says that's arbitrary. The board says that's state law. Inclusive education. The teachers say special needs students are sometimes thrown in with general classes, that it's wrong. The board says it's following state law on this. Then there is the key issue, shared decision-making at the individual schools.
Teachers, parents, administrator, classified, sitting down and trying to decide how we can make each individual school work best for the kids at that school.
It's parents, community, other employees, and the teachers. So it's very important. It's a dialogue of all stakeholders, not just the union and the district.
But what it all boils down to is power and money, and how each of those is shared. John Beatty, 10 News.
The district and the Teachers Association had already agreed on a variety of issues, including telephones in the classroom.
The strike continues to cost the school district. Today, the district says about 36% of students were absent. It's a little bit lower absentee rate than earlier in the week. And once again, district officials say today's absences cost them more than $1 million in average daily attendance state aid. You would think that the higher than normal number of students staying away from school would result in a higher than normal number of truants.
That apparently isn't the case. The students still going to school or staying in school. Those who are staying out of school don't appear to be just hanging around.
Any of them that we find around the school, in the vicinity of the school, we're advising them that they either need to be home or they need to be in school.
Parents will be notified, according to Stark, and if there are repeated contacts with truant students, juvenile authorities may be notified. Truth is, however, police are so busy with other matters concerning the strike that searching for truants isn't really a high priority, which is one of the reasons why a coalition of San Diego church leaders decided to speak out. They're tired of seeing children out on the street, and they're tired of the strike.
The unions and the administrators who have taken positions that are inflexible are making victims of our children.
This coalition believes the strike has caused irreparable harm.
So here's where we stand with the strike at this hour. On this, the 7th day of the walkout, mediation resumed at a secret location this morning, but there is little evidence of progress. Mayor Golding's prediction of a settlement by 5 o'clock today has failed to materialize. The district filed another request for an injunction to stop the strike today after getting turned down on its first try. Fewer students skipped school today. The district says 36% of students failed to show up for class.
Competente para fallar en favor de una u otra instancia. Los conminó a seguir con las conversaciones. La Asociación de Profesores de San Diego, que aglutina más de 6.500 maestros, rechazó la propuesta del 14% de incremento salarial. Durante la noche de ayer, una multitud se aglutinó en el edificio de administración de North Park para discutir el problema sin llegar a ninguna solución. Sin embargo, la reunión casi anárquica subió de tono y hasta hubo insultos para los directivos del distrito escolar. Más de la mitad de los alumnos de San Diego han faltado a clases. Lo vamos a mantener bien informados sobre este asunto a medida que se vaya desarrollando. Con gusto le vamos a presentar.
Small planes collaborating to celebrate right now because tonight they are talking settlement, not strike.
And that's the top story at 5 o'clock. Good evening. I'm Denise Yamada.
I'm Hal Clement. The 3 R's today: reading, writing, and reunions.
Thousands of teachers in the San Diego Unified School District returned to class after learning that an acceptable contract had been offered.
School Board President Ann Armstrong delivered the news early this morning, and the rejoicing soon began.
Have reached tentative agreement, and the teachers' strike is over.
Walking home. So glad to be back.
I feel good because I am with my real teacher that I had for months.
You don't realize how much you miss your teachers till they are actually gone.
Welcome back.
Oh, glad to be back.
Oh, I'm so glad it's over.
Good to be back, huh? Good to be back.
Our team coverage tonight will include reaction from various schools, details on the terms of the deal, and the status of the new contract that still must be voted upon.
And that is where we begin. Doug McAllister has the specifics of the new teacher contract.
He is standing by with more in this live report. Doug?
I'm at the Dana Administrative Center, formerly Dana Junior High School in Point Loma. Here, the school superintendent and others have been briefing school principals and staff on the new contract. It's a 14.7% increase over the next 3 years, and here's how it breaks down. 5% is effective immediately and retroactive to July 1st, 1995. 2% comes this coming March 1st, 1996. Another 2% comes March 1st, 1997. 5% in February 1st, or on February 1st, 1998, rounds it out. Now, the school board president and the superintendent thanked principals and school staff for holding things together while teachers were away.
We have a new 3-year contract that I sincerely believe will be good for the students of this district, for our teachers, and for certificated and classified managers, supervisors, confidentials, and all of our employees.
You kept the schools open for us. You kept them safe for kids. I know they were in better shape than some of the news media said they were. And I know that the worst case scenarios were the ones that got on television.
Well, some of us in the media might disagree. Of equal importance to teachers is shared decision-making, new ground made up at that. They'll have a greater say-so in the governing of their own schools, and there are 160 of them in the San Diego district. I'm Doug McAllister, live in Point Loma.
All right, thank you, Doug. As for the teachers right now, they are gathering basically to celebrate.
News 8's Ronnie Loiza joins us from the Open Air Theater at San Diego State with more. Ronnie?
Well, it's more than a celebration. They will actually be going over a contract. But while where Doug McAllister is, the district is meeting with the school principals to go over the contract. The San Diego Teachers Association is meeting with several thousands of their closest friends, the teachers. Take a look at this. 6,500 teachers today have had one heck of a busy day, returning to school after 7 days of walking the picket lines. That's 5 days of actual strike plus the weekend. Most of them are showing up here to go over the details of the tentative agreement. Now, while most of the teachers tell us they are happy the strike is over, they also still tell us that they have many concerns.
I was surprised only because I was awakened that early in the morning. I was very glad that it's over. It's tiring, and they just don't know how tiring it is. Even when you're outside of the classroom, you worry about the kids on the inside.
Realize that we got these facts and figures at 12 o'clock, not in a written form, but only in a form that I brought back from the strike captain's meeting as best as I could bring them back, and that's why I'm here to clarify it so that I'm sure of what I'm saying.
Now, the teachers are just now arriving after a whole full day of the first day back at school. They will be going over all their questions and concerns, and then the vote is tomorrow. I have a schedule. They will be voting tomorrow on this tentative proposal between 8 and 2 at the San Diego Teachers Association office, and then between 2 and 8 o'clock tomorrow night at Jack Murphy Stadium. Of course, we'll have more on this at 6:30 and let you know what's happening and all their questions and concerns. Reporting live from San Diego State, I'm Ronnie Loiza, News 8.
All right, thank you, Ronnie. Signs that the strike is over started popping up at schools all over San Diego today. At De Portola Middle School in Tierra Santa, a big marquee welcomed teachers back to class. The sign reads, "It's over. We missed you, teachers. Welcome back." At Mira Mesa High School today, students welcomed their teachers back with open arms. Many students said they're looking forward to getting things back to normal. The teachers say they're optimistic that will happen.
It's going to take a few days to get things going back to where they were before we left, but it's going to work out.
Some returning teachers say they're happy they stood up for what they believe in, but they add it's nice to be getting back to work.
That seems to be the sentiment all over the city today. Every single teacher at Knox Elementary School took part in the strike, and teachers returning to class today say that makes things easier because there will not be any hard feelings among the returning teachers.
It really made us feel warm and close as a staff, knowing that when we went back, it would be we wouldn't have any adjustment to make, that everything would just go on as usual.
One teacher says the fact that they stayed strong on the picket line will help them be stronger in the classroom. In the Skyline area, students and staff at Fulton Elementary School started the day together with a flag-raising ceremony. As teachers arrived at work for the first time in a week, they were greeted with hugs and smiles.
The telephone tree was working overtime early this morning as teachers were told the strike is over.
Our team coverage continues with News 8's Liz Purcell, who met up with the former pickets at Kearney High in Linda Vista.
Yeah, it's great. Woo. Welcome back.
Oh, but tensions melted away as teachers crossed into familiar territory for the first time in 7 days.
I'm glad it's over. And I'm ready to go back to work and do what I do best.
Around 4:30 in the morning, teachers got word by telephone that the strike was over.
I want my regular teachers back.
And they came back, slipping into their classrooms as if they never left. Administrators canceled most of the substitutes who filled in during the strike.
Hope everyone's happy. If they need help, I'm willing to help still, though.
French teacher Sharon Clark celebrated by turning her classroom into a cafe. The donuts and coffee were on her.
I'm so glad I'm back, and I missed you guys so much.
Yesterday, less than half the students came to class at Kearney. Today, attendance zoomed to more than 70%.
I'm just grateful that the strike is over. I'm kind of sick of doing nothing.
Now that the strike's over, we get our real teachers back. That way we can actually do some work. That way we can get our grades up.
Here at Kearney, 49 teachers were on the picket line, 25 crossed. There could be hard feelings now that the strike is over and teachers are working side by side again.
Early this morning, check with Bev.
The principal, who went through the strike in '77, expects his staff to mend their differences.
You bet. At Kearney, I think they will, but that doesn't mean that, we won't be doing everything we can to help that healing process.
Hard feelings? Do we have hard feelings? We don't have hard feelings. We don't have hard feelings.
But some returning teachers are bitter. They say their colleagues who refused to join the strike were quiet today and wouldn't look them in the eye. The hug fest that started off the day didn't include everyone. News 8's Ed.D reports from Bell Junior High.
It's the dawning of a new day. Kids are going back to the basics at Bell Junior High. Since the strike is over, most are coming to school today with mom and dad's blessings. Good deal, right? These kids think not.
It was fun when you were at home. Now you have to come to school.
Some kids are having a hard time accepting that Bell Junior High will be a more disciplined place with teachers back in charge. Last week, while teachers walked the picket lines, students walked the streets and hung out at McDonald's.
They're not teaching us anything. All we're doing in there is sitting down listening to music. It's boring up in there.
But right now, the party's over, and it's back to reading, writing, and arithmetic. The end of the strike caught this girl off guard.
Stinks, because I went to bed at 11 o'clock at night and I had a friend sleeping over. And then my mom came in at 5:30 and said that we had to get up and go to school.
Other kids are glad to come back and happy to see their teachers.
I think it's good that the teachers are back because, like the classes were out of control and everybody was doing everything they wanted, and that's not right because we weren't learning anything.
The first thing Evie Newton did was discuss the strike with her class.
The lesson here is what? You have to do what you believe in.
Then she let them know how thrilled she was to be back.
We got to get to work. We've got a lot of work to do. We've got some catching up to do, and I'm excited, and let's get going. It's a great day.
I'm glad to have them back. It's a wonderful staff, and it'll be nice to get back to business.
Teachers like Evie Newton are hoping that parents will become more involved with their children's schools. And if there's one more thing to come out of this strike, she's hoping it's a better partnership between parents and the teachers. Yvette Dabney, News 8.
To recap, the teacher strike has been settled. After all-night talks, both sides agreed on a new contract that calls for a 14.7% raise. The pay raises will be phased in over a 3-year period and will be retroactive to last July. This will be the teachers' first raise in 5 years. The strike lasted for 7 days.
There is another big story we're following tonight. There has been a sexual attack in the University City area. The victim is a 6-year-old girl. Police say it